In this video, I'm going to help you decide what video system to choose if you are just starting out in FPV in the most simple way possible. So the analog video system is literally where it all started. Before there was DJI, before there was HDZero and Walksnail, analog was the only thing available, and a lot of pilots, even to this day, still fly analog for many different reasons. It's the cheapest option, easy to replace if broken, tried and true. There's a familiarity component to it as well. And if you're interested in racing, analog is usually the way to go because of its fixed low latency. There's also many other great aspects of going analog. For example, the video transmitter weight. And this is important if you're really focused on flying tiny whoops or if you're focused on building a drone that's under 250 grams. And what if you want to hear your drone as you fly? The analog system is going to give you the ability to do that. Otherwise, you'll be flying in silence or listening to music, which isn't as bad as it sounds. No pun intended. And actually, when I first started, this kind of threw me off a bit, but after a while, you get used to just turning on some music or flying in silence. Now, what makes analog suck? Well, some of y'all may not like this, but analog videos kind of poop.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The truth hurts. I know, it's okay.
There.
Thank you.
But in all seriousness, you can get good video quality. It just depends on what video camera you go with. For example, the Foxeer T-Rex or the Runcam Phoenix V2 are really good options if you're looking to get the most out of analog video. That being said, analog video is also more susceptible to image noise. And some would say that analog is actually on its way out the more cheaper digital options get here in the distant future. Do I think that's the case? Probably not. Analog is just so cheap and so easy to replace, it would be really hard for it to just be phased out completely. But you never know, man. Things happen, technology changes fast, so stay on your toes. And I'm sure there's more to analog that I haven't touched on, but if what I have touched on has piqued your interest, the only thing that you need to do is buy a set of analog goggles, a video transmitter, and a matching analog camera. Or the other option is to add an analog receiver module to the HDZero goggles or Walksnail goggles, or I've even seen someone create an adapter that can house an analog receiver module on the DJI goggles V2, and it runs. It's not the best, but it works. And then we have digital systems. 3 different types of digital systems: HDZero, Walksnail, and DJI. Let's start with HDZero. HDZero is a pretty versatile system, being able to use analog receiver modules and Walksnail receiver modules. You can fly at 540p at 90 FPS, which is really good for low fixed latency if you want to get into racing. It's lightweight, so there's a ton of tiny whoop options, and a lot of the cameras do really well in low light scenarios. It's also cheaper than your other digital options. HDZero also has a great community, and the developers seem to be really in tune with the needs of the community. And the last point that I want to touch on here is the image quality, which is really good. You can get up to 1080p at 30 frames per second. As for the bad, over the long term, HDZero is the cheaper option, but up front, the goggles are going to be pretty expensive. I think they're around $600, and they do not come with antennas. The cheaper way to get into HDZero is by purchasing the receiver module that you can attach to a pair of analog or Walksnail goggles if you already have them. But the downside to the receiver module is you can't do 90 frames per second, which may or may not be a deal breaker for you. As for the general stuff though, there's no built-in stabilization if you're into that with any of the VTXs. There's also no audio for HDZero. Well, there's no audio for any of the digital options at all. And lastly, they may not be the most beginner friendly, especially if you have no idea about goggle antennas or external receiver modules or anything of the sort. And this doesn't mean that you can't pick it up quickly, it's just going to take a little extra learning up front on your part, especially if you're really wanting to get the most out of the goggles. And I highly recommend that you do get the most out of the goggles, especially for the price of $600.
So alive!
And next we have Walksnail, which is actually the system that I built my first drone around, and I documented that process over the course of 2 different videos, so I will throw links to them somewhere above me feel free to check them out in your free time. So at this point, with the Goggles X being out, Walksnail is looking like the most versatile system that you can get. It's not really a master at anything per se, but you can do a lot with it. There's HDMI ports and AV input ports, so you can use analog receiver modules or HDZero receiver modules. The Goggles X also have a race mode setting that you can use. It's nowhere near as good as HDZero or analog, but it works, and it works moderately well. There is still the latency issue with the race mode though. It's not going to be fixed latency like it is with HDZero or analog. Walksnail is also good in low light or no light conditions depending on the camera that you go with. And the image quality rivals that of the O3 Air unit, getting up to 4K at 60 frames per second. And if you're really looking to avoid DJI, the Walksnail Moonlight and the Avatar HD Pro are really good camera options. There's also a great balance of products and options for you if you're looking to get into either cinematic flying, freestyle flying, or even if you're looking to get into tiny whoops. There's something there to cater to that as well. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on is the community engagement. Walksnail has a very active community, and the developers definitely have their ear to the street when it comes to anything FPV. Now, why would you want to avoid Walksnail? Well, it can be pretty buggy. For example, the Goggles X have had several bugs from black screening, freezing screens, green screens, proximity sensor issues, overheating, etc. And CADX has pushed a lot of updates to fix these things. However, I do feel like it's important to at least mention them. But keep in mind, every system has its issues. Ain't nothing perfect. And with that, there's a few more downsides that we need to touch on. Like, for example, there's no image stabilization unless you go with the Walksnail Moonlight VTX. And, as I stated before, there's no audio. And lastly, Walksnail is more expensive than HDZero, but it's less expensive than DJI. So it's right smack dab in the middle when it comes to price. However, if you go with the Goggles X, they're going to be $200 cheaper, and they're going to come with antennas. So that's something to think about. And finally, we have DJI, which is the most expensive video system, but it also offers the best image quality that you can buy on the market today. And despite the price, a lot of people are flying it. Whether it's the V2 goggles, whether it's the Goggles 2, Goggles Integra, whatever, the DJI Air unit, the DJI O3 Air unit, CADX Vista, whatever, people are still flying it. And that's for several different reasons. Range and penetration, native stabilization, video quality. There's a lot of bind and fly options. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But mainly, it's really easy to pick up an O3 Air unit, for example, and either do freestyle flying or do commercial business. Also, another upside that I don't see people talking about a lot is DJI Care. If you're building a drone and you're buying all of your parts individually, if you purchase the DJI O3 Air unit directly from DJI Care is an absolute must, and it will definitely be a great use of your money. Not so much if you buy pre-built drones, and that whole thing is very confusing, and Mads Tech actually has a video about it that I'll link in the description so you can check that out. And if you're new and you want the easiest way to get in the air, DJI is going to offer that. All you need is a DJI O3 Air unit, the Goggles 2, and the DJI Controller 2. Once you have those things, all you do is connect them all together and you're in the air. You don't have to buy an external ELRS or Crossfire module or whatever, what have you. All you need are those three things and you can fly. So if it's so good, what the hell is wrong with it? Well, the big glaring issue with DJI is it's expensive. From the DJI O3 Air unit, to the goggles, to the controller if you get that, bind and flies, it's all damn expensive. And it's proprietary, which also sucks. Which means if you go DJI, you're kind of committing yourself to their ecosystem. Which also means you can't natively attach HDZero, analog, or Walksnail receiver modules to your goggles. And unless you decase the O3 Air unit, it's actually pretty heavy, so your options for tiny whoops are going to be a lot less because of how much the weight affects the drone in flight. High latency could also be a determining factor for you because DJI is known for pretty much having higher latency than all of the other systems. And you probably won't notice it that much unless you're a really experienced pilot and you're coming from something like HDZero or analog. It's also terrible in low light conditions, in my opinion. And the last thing that I want to mention is, in contrast to HDZero, Walksnail, and analog, the community is not as connected to the developers as I would like, and I'm sure many other people share that sentiment. And this leads to a lot of vendor lockout and compatibility issues whenever new firmware releases are pushed to the market or when DJI comes out with new products. So with all the given information, what's the best video system to choose? And the answer to that is it depends.
Get back into life. Get back into life with Depends.
Everybody has their own reason for gravitating toward a particular system. So there's really no definitive answer to give you for that question. But my advice is to make sure that you don't spread yourself too thin, fly within your means, and really get down to what type of drone you need and why. Whether it's freestyle, commercial flying, or whether you just want to do cinematic flights. And if you're looking for something that can go long range, pretty much all of these systems can do long range depending on how you set the drone up and the equipment used. So yeah, that's all from me. Let me know what video system you picked in the comment section. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Catch you later.